Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Bitcoin, seeing what's going on. We have on the charts, because I got a question earlier, what is that arrow? Well, that was the original anticipation was the price to fill this fair value gap, which mostly got filled, and a bounce, which essentially happened. So we're expecting this to have happened, of course. And if you take a look at some of our awesome trades here, we can kind of see, of course, that we're doing fairly well here. Took 45% in 1 month on Bitcoin. Our SUI long took place there as well, 45%, 31% from a second Bitcoin trade. Algorand, the list kind of goes on, honestly. We've been killing it here. OGN was my favorite there, about 205% in 25 days. So, and congrats to our community members, our premium members. Bear in mind, too, if you're curious about the results, those are found here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're curious about what that looks like. Again, premium members are doing quite well here. Yeah, we took a loss on Frontier. That's okay. We had to close a TRB trade as well. But everything else looking pretty good there. So again, congrats to all my members, and thanks again for the wonderful feedback I've received for that. I'm happy to be part of your life as well. Thank you. So what we want to talk about here with Bitcoin is, well, the fair value gap. That's pretty important to recognize. We want to talk about Bitcoin dominance and how Bitcoin dominance is up, price of Bitcoin is up, and therefore the altcoins are down. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. I try to reference this frequently. I just got this little cheat sheet in our education section within our Discord there. But when Bitcoin dominance goes up, the price of Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go down. Okay, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in Bitcoin up, Bitcoin dominance up, and we're seeing alts kind of suffer right now. So please understand, if Bitcoin does drop hard, we will see a dump from altcoins. Okay, so all the more reason to consider maybe some shorts from altcoins instead of some longs right now. Just bear in mind there's a lot of different options out there, but that is essentially where we're at right now. Presently, it's not a guaranteed science, but it is fairly accurate in most cases. So what's going to happen here next? Well, Bitcoin came back down to retest 28,000. So far, it's held fairly well. Why don't we take a quick look at the back end stuff here in high block capital data first, kind of see what's going on with liquidation levels, etc. And we can kind of summarize what's happening here. So here's something that's really cool and kind of just to touch on. First of all, we've got a lot of liquidation levels here at the lower price point, about 25,600. They're moving up, basically implying that there's more long positions entering the market. We've also got a very low amount of liquidation levels above us here. In other words, shorts are pretty scarce right now. Okay, so right now, most shorts are hedged right there at the rough estimate about 29,200. Okay, so if the price does wake up to just above 29,000, that's where those shorts will get squeezed. But there's not a lot of shorts being entering the market right now. As a matter of fact, if we take a look here at this level, we can see cumulative nets versus net longs versus shorts. Longs are getting higher and shorts are essentially getting lower. Okay, so they're kind of starting to plateau here, but for lack of better terms, we want to make sure that we understand that these things here, when there's a switch, that's when we have more bullish momentum. We're going to probably see that closer to 30,000. We have more longs than shorts in the market. Right now, there still are technically more shorts than longs, but that's a cumulative, right? That's over the course of the last few months, not necessarily the last couple of hours, right? So that's kind of where we're at there. Taking a look here, of course, at the average leverage delta, we can see a lot more leverage right now entering the market. We can also see that whales are starting to kind of stay on the sidelines. That lets us understand that, well, retail is kind of taking control right now. Fear and greed index is decent here, kind of back to intermediate, if you will, and not really anything super concerning there. So nothing super stark in reality. Just the bottom line here is that we've got liquidation levels that are kind of away from the current price action right now. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at the net longs versus net shorts here as far as the last 12 hours is concerned, where we see the most amount of liquidation. A lot of liquidation occurred at 28.5. There was that liquidation candle wick, essentially, that just wiped out a lot of shorts because that was a strong liquidation level previously. If we take a look at, see here, why don't we do a larger time frame here and kind of see where the longs are hedged here. We got the most amount of longs in the most recent time frame here, still open about 27,000. So a lot of longs are in the green. Let's take a quick look at the shorts and see where they're hedged at. And they are fairly non-existent. There's still a lot of shorts up and open at 26,600, which is crazy to me. They must be lower leverage shorts because the 20x, 50x, those are all gone by now. Okay. So what does that mean here for us? Let's take a quick look at the 7-day forecast here for the liquidation heat map and kind of see roughly where we have the most amount of liquidation levels now. And it's pretty much right where we expected. There's not a lot here. Again, upwards of 29,200, 300. We have some new liquidation levels entering. But for the most part, minus 28,700, there's really nothing much above us here right now. We can also see here that 26,000 is the next key level there for the longs. So longs have a decent amount of liquidation to go. So we'll have to see some pretty significant movements down in order for us to kind of be able to see that happen. Okay. So simply put, 26,000 is the largest amount of volume accumulation there for liquidation levels, and same thing here at about upper 28,000 range. So if we see a push of 29,000, we'll see one more short squeeze, and that would essentially push the price action a little bit higher. So what does that mean here for us? Well, let's talk about the big picture and kind of see what's going on. Let's work with the monthly and go on down. Since we are in a new month, we do want to kind of understand where we're at here. So presently right now, keep in mind, current price action, we don't have a tremendous amount of volume. Obviously we do if you look at the recent time frame, but big picture, we're still accumulating volume in the 28,000 range. So fairly small amount of volume support there in the overall sense of things. We can see we've been treading water above 50 for some time, so that's still tentatively bullish. If we take a look at the moving averages, we can kind of see here, in fact, we want to look at a better chart here that gives us a little bit better data. We can kind of see here that we are looking at a definite right there convergence here with the 20 and the 50-day SMA. Okay? So the 50-day SMA is holding the price action up. Keep in mind this is October, or Uptober as some people would call it. Statistically speaking, you're looking at this being a better month than usual. So if you take a look at this here, this is like the average performance monthly for Bitcoin. Again, I send this out on my Twitter as well as Telegram and Discord, but you can see September is notoriously a red month, and October is the second best month for returns on average for Bitcoin. Okay? So again, we're coming up on some awesome behavior here soon with potential spikes in price. Now, there's no guarantees that Bitcoin is just going to shoot up because of that, but historically it does very well in this month, and we're already off to a good start. Okay? So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one more little liquidation hunt down before the next leg up, just based on how crazy the market can get and just how terrible the whales can be. But that's generally kind of what we're looking at there. So looking at the weekly here, let's go ahead and work our way down. Still looking good there in the regard to the RSI. MACD is starting to converge as well. So we're starting to build that momentum back up for potential swing to the upside. 30,000, I think, is a very realistic target. Obviously, depending on a lot of other factors, but generally speaking, the macro is looking positive, and we're above a lot of key levels. You do got to recognize too, though, that the 20 and the 50-day SMA, or sorry, the 20 and the 200 are averaging themselves out right at 28,000. So closing this week above 28,000 would be extremely important. Close below that, we might see a retrace down to the 26, 27,000 range. But for the most part, right now, we're looking pretty decent. All right, so let's take a quick look at the daily. We're going to draw out some new Fibonacci retracement levels and kind of get perspective on what could happen next if the price were to pull back, and generally speaking, if we are going to continue to honor this ascending trend. And us just, noting the big picture, right? So let's look at this here. First of all, volume profile, 26,000, heavy accumulation there. Second most amount of volume is about 26.5, and third is 27,000 even. Okay, so we're kind of in uncharted territory. If you look at the most recent amount of volume, just taking roughly back all the way through from June, so last 4 months roughly, we're looking here at a pretty big gap in volume in the range right now between 27,000 and 29,000. Okay, so that $2,000 range is a fairly uncharted territory, if you will. Okay, so all the more reason to be a little more cautiously optimistic here, not just get too heavy with your longs or your shorts, because again, the price action definitely could pull back, but we're gonna have to find out and see. So simply put, here on the daily, we're above some key levels here. Let's take a look here really quick. You zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see the 200-day SMA right now tentatively rejecting the price action. I like to emphasize the word tentatively because it's not officially closed, but we take a look here at 0.236 on Fibonacci, 28,000. That's the point of contention. So closing above 28K today would be a really big deal. Okay? Again, just because we close above doesn't mean it's just going to shoot to the moon. It just implies that we have somewhat of a support level there, and we can actually start accumulating volume above a key level resistance. And that's important. Right now, we're kind of stuck underneath that level, and until we can close above, we can expect the price action to come down. Okay? It's kind of what you're looking at. So simply put here, we are looking at a situation where we are fairly bullish, but this is such a large correction, large increase, that it could very well work out to be something along these lines here if we're not careful. Okay, so again, just bear in mind, we're in a situation right now where the price action could very well pull back, and we just got to be ready for it. We are hitting 70 on the RSI too, and that's a common area of retracement. So typically when you hit 70 on the RSI, the price action will likely pull back. It's got a higher statistical probability. It could still break through and continue higher. Don't get me wrong, it's totally a possibility, but it's less likely than it is for the price to turn itself around at, especially with the way that we see the way things have just now, with the liquidation candle wick up there. I think there's a good chance that we'll see a pullback here now that the profits have been taken up at that upper level. Okay. So take a look at the 4 hour here. What's going on? Is there any overextension? Let's find out. We are up over 70 on the RSI, maintaining that for the moment. So keep in mind that can still plateau and level out. So it's not a definitive drop. We may not see the price drop down, but we can see here we're overextended leading into this upwards momentum here. So in truth, the price action is kind of where it's at, but it's hard to say if it's gonna come back or not. The reason why I say that is because we broke that through that soundly. That's this previous resistance level. So what could happen, and the price action, if it were to pull back, we'll see the price probably pull back to this lower Fibonacci level here, right there at 0.382, looking at about 27,500. So if I were to see a long position or consider a long position, I think the 27.5, 27.6 range would make a lot more sense, considering we're so far so good in fulfilling this Elliott wave. We've got 2 higher highs and 2 higher lows, and we will definitely see how that plays out. So to me, when these situations happen, I get questioned a lot like, hey, what do you plan to do? Are you going to jump into a trade? Are you going to kind of hesitate and wait? Well, for the most part, I'm going to be passively waiting for this to take a trade, because I don't like to short or long at this specific moment. I like to find a definitive direction. And to me, I'd much rather buy the dip than actually just selling the top. Okay. Don't get me wrong, I like to sell overextensions on occasion, but they have to be fully overextended, and we're not quite there yet, even though that does look like a juicy target there. So that being said, what are we going to look at here? Well, we want to look at a few other key factors here on the hourly, and then kind of wrap it up here and summarize. So on the hourly, first and foremost, we can see that we hit an overextended state. Big surprise, price comes all the way up to 28,600 and rejects. So 28.6 is a new resistance. We have a new potential support level or support range between 27.3 and 27.6. Okay, so this little range here will likely work as a gravitational pull. The price will pull back to that. You commonly see that happen because it was the most recent high. It should essentially retract itself as the most recent low. We take that and we can currently look at a few other factors. We look at Elliott wave. We already did that. Sorry. We want to look at the Ichimoku cloud and kind of see that we are on the right side of the tracks, but this little momentous trend is ending. Okay? We're almost intersecting with the price action. So this does tell us if you have a long position open, you should have taken profits by now. Furthermore, too, if we want to take a look actually at some fair value, we can see there's a lot of fair value here on the price action. So to make it really clear and simple, this range here down as low as 27.2 could get filled in the relative near future, because fair value gaps have a tendency of getting filled in time. Okay, so what this basically just means is the price shot up so quick in this time frame that there were no profits taken during that level. So anyone who got in down here wants to be able to sell and bring the price down to that level and buy in again. Okay, so it's common to want to either short to that area or to take a long at that level and consider buying the next dip. Okay, so one thing's for certain here, that the price could very well continue higher, but it seems statistically more likely for the price to pull back first before it does. Again, just kind of the natural ebbs and flows of trading. So what I'm expecting to see happen is somewhat of a pullback to 27.6, possibly 27.3, and to consider a long position at that point, because it does look like statistically we have a higher likelihood of increasing in value this month than we do in the past, because October is typically a pretty strong month for Bitcoin. So however that looks for you, you make the decision. Let me know, comments below, if you're in a long position, if you're going to plan to short, what your thoughts are too on altcoins as well, because they're bleeding out pretty hard right now based on Bitcoin dominance being high and effectively decreasing the altcoin dominance as well. So let me know your thoughts. Look forward to hearing from you. If you want to become a better trader, again, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link down below. Look forward to work with you. Hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll go ahead and see you on the next one. Take care.